Hey, Miles. There's always a lot of opportunities when you're a YouTuber, when you're a content creator, when you're doing whatever, right? Whenever you're in any field, there's always a opportunity in that field to to promote
Oh,
things and
what?
right and to like
Oh,
make
okay, yeah.
money off specific
Oh, money. I
products,
like money.
right? Money, hey,
Yeah,
money's
yeah,
good,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess. Right? I like paying my bills. It's nice.
Yeah.
And dude, I desperately want to make some money off of a coffee sponsorship because as much as I'm thankful for all the people that helped this channel run, I'm so much more thankful for coffee. And it would be one of those promotions that you could really put your heart behind. You could be like, man, I just want to say like every single promotional event for coffee, like whatever brand it would just be like, I just want to say I'm so thankful for Folgers.
For fueling this episode and
Right.
keeping me going.
Yeah, no, it
And
would.
I would drink this even if they weren't paying me. That's the ideal sponsorship.
I mean that's
Yeah.
exactly it, right, man? Like, I mean, I think like even bad coffee is good coffee, even bad pizza is good pizza. So really, like if any pizza or coffee place out there want to sponsor us, even if your product is shit, I'll probably fucking do it, man. Like, because I will eat and or drink crappy coffee or crappy pizza. I'm just
Is
saying,
there
man.
coffee pizza? Is there coffee pizza?
I think we've gone too far with this already.
Really? This
Yeah,
is why we can't have nice things.
this is exactly why. But hey, man, it's Friday. It's time to put our feet
But
up.
that's fine. If you don't want sponsorship from my coffee pizza that I've just developed, that's fine, man. But,
I don't. 90 people, 95 people hanging out right now listening to us talk about coffee pizza. PPS
well, tell us in the
says,
chat. Would you have it? Would you have it?
I can't put
Let's
up
start
two.
the show,
I
Brian.
can't put up two polls at once, dude.
No, they can just say it in the chat.
All right,
They'll
let
say
us
it's
know.
amazing. Anyway,
Tell us.
let's start.
Tell us. I just want to torture them a little bit longer. All right, let's go. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on PSVR without parole, 6 p.m. Eastern. That is my time. Whatever. What time is it your time, Miles?
It is 11:05,
British time.
and it's late. And although I'm 5 hours in the future, I can tell you from the future, Brian.
Oh, yeah, the future.
I was telling Wes this on Wednesday, but it's still the same now. 5 years from now, 5 hours from now, Brian, PSVR2 is still not out. So
Still
I can
not out?
confirm that. No.
But has there been a Sony showcase yet? That's the big question.
Oh, yeah. Gotta go. Sorry.
Right.
No, there's not. No.
Uh,
But I'll keep you posted 5 hours from the future. So
Thank you. Thank you. We always have an edge on the competition because of Miles' presence on the channel. Yeah.
that's it.
My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR without parole, and the gentleman to my right, far, far, far in the future, it's Miles Dyer from Miles Dyer Official or youtube.com/Miles.
Thank you, Brian. It's good to be here, Game Cats. I can't believe another week has passed already. Yeah. Let's do this, Brian.
Yeah, I always forget to introduce you as Two Wise. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you ever, did you have the dating? Was it not the dating game? It was some dating show back in like the late '80s or something. And I just remember I think it was Chuck Woolery, and he'd set like one single person up with like 3 potential dates, and he would say, "We'll be right back in 2 and 2." But this to me looks like a Y, so I wanted to be like Two Wise, Two Wise Dyer. Chuck Woolery.
Well, it's funny you
2
say that, Brian, because this week on my live show on my channel, I launched YouTube membership, which comes with some custom emojis. And one of the emojis, they're not going to be able to see this. I'm just sending it to you in the Discord chat now. That is what one of the emojis is.
Two Wise, excellent. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm glad. I'm glad it's catching on, man. That's really good.
I know. And when I was explaining it, I was like, because some people in my chat were like, "Why is it 2 Ys?" I said, "Well, used to on the phone say to people often 2 Ys, MYDY, but then Brian on PSVR without parole would start introducing me as Miles 2 Ys Dyer, and I was like, this is catching on. So it became an emoji, Brian, because of you and the chat. So thank you.
I'm really sorry for the love connection. Thank you, Dan Kiefer. I actually hadn't been paying attention in the chat. Wow, the Love Connection. That is crazy. I don't think I would have come up with that name. I don't think a show called Love Connection would even work today. Like it's got to like in an era where things are called Fuckboy Island. I don't think something as pure and as wholesome as Love Connection would actually kind of like actually garner any viewers. People would be like, "Fuck, that sounds like something my parents would watch." And you know what? It was. It really was. It was something your parents watched. My kids are like, Daddy watched Love Connection growing up. I don't have any kids. I just have Tornado, and I don't think she calls me daddy. Dude, listen, real quick, let's get some of this nonsense out of the way. All this housekeeping stuff. If you are not already a member of our Discord, click the link in the description below. That is where we hang out 24/7. Sometimes we hang out in voice chat. That's where we hang out, just shooting the shit. Sometimes it's about video games. Sometimes it's not. Who the fuck cares, man? Really, it's just a cool place to hang out. If you're even tangentially interested in PSVR, it's a cool place to hang out. Totally free to join. However, over on patreon.com/withoutprogames, if you want to get your name on that scrolling list at the bottom of the screen, $3 a month. And of course, access to voice chat over on Discord. I'm not saying it's a privilege to hang out in Discord voice chat, to hang out. Just, trying to make things beneficial for the people who are supporting the channel financially. And plus, there's a $5 tier as well, where you get some free episodes. I guess it's not free if you're paying for them, Miles. You would get some $5 episodes of Why We Love PSVR. So far, we're up to 2 episodes. The first one was Why We Love Something or Another, and Immortal Legacy. That was me and AJ like over a month ago. And then Wes and I just filmed an episode of Why We Love Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. I'm sure you can tell that was probably a divisive episode, and we just put that up on patreon.com/withoutprogames for the $5 tier. We're going to make sure we do that more regularly every month. I'm already talking to Dave Station VR about the next episode. So if there's any faces from the channel that you miss, who knows, man? Maybe you'll see them show up in future episodes of Why We Love, right? But of course, dude, Miles, I don't want to overstep my my footing here. But how many likes do we want on today's episode of PSVR Gamescast Live?
That is not overstepping at all, Brian. I'm really glad you asked.
It has nothing to do with me. this is
it
all,
has
all you.
Everything to you. This is Brian's idea. He says, Miles, you better do it and not make me do it, or I'm going to get rid of you. And I went, fine.
I give you responsibilities. I give you segments on the show so that I can sit back and drink coffee. That's really the only reason I let you talk at all.
Well, last week we didn't quite hit our target, but that's all right. We still did 326 likes.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I think, but 350 was the one we went for. We didn't quite get there last time, but let's go for it this time. I think we can do this. It's not just about during the live show; it's afterwards as well, throughout the week. So let's just go for 350 likes. Let's do it. Short and sweet. Let's do it.
And what do we give them as a reward? Like access to our OnlyFans, or is that just
the reward is next week. The target's higher. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot if you click the like button. Just heads up, because all we're gonna do is ask more of you.
Yeah,
consistently.
We're just gonna ask you to like again next week. So yeah, it's great.
Listen, I want to. They're commenting on your shirt, by the way, in the chat.
Someone asked if I go out with this. I do, if it's because it's a breathable shirt. I mean, I wish they would sponsor us. There's a clothing brand in New Zealand called Just Saying, which is a great brand name, and they do all this workout gear in like all Super Saiyan stuff. So it's a breathable shirt, really comfortable in that. But yeah, I just had to get it. But because it's from New Zealand, I mean, I got it a few years ago before the pandemic. I mean, postage must be, something else now. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z, love it.
Awesome. Very good.
They still need a VR game. Dragon Ball Z VR game. I still want it. I want to go Super Saiyan that's powered by you literally screaming into the microphone for like half an hour. Sorry, Brian. Carry on.
I don't know if you saw the title of this video, Miles, about VR being a gimmick, but I'm pretty sure what you just described is the definition of a VR gimmick.
Well, that would put people. That
would put people off VR forever. Yeah.
Is it still a fad? No, it's going to be a fad when Dragon Ball Z VR comes out. That's what we've concluded. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. That's everything concluded, clearly.
Oh, man. All right, dude. You know what? I think we should kick this show off with a little bit of fun. Obviously, we've got some actual news to talk about, some fun developer things, some fun video game things, some fun PSVR things. But I always like to kick it to the community first. And so why don't we go over to, again, our Discord and read some viewer takeover questions. Guys, don't forget, join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. While you're clicking links, make sure you go subscribe to Miles at youtube.com/Miles. But if you want your questions to be part of the show, all you have to do is go to the Viewer Takeover channel on our Discord and leave your messages there, man. Like, it's real simple. And you know, there hasn't been a ton, so we've sort of been just taking all the ones that we've been given. And so it's a pretty good chance that we're going to read your question sometime next week if you submit one. First one comes to us from Sci-Fi Geek Cat Henry. By the way, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry doing amazing work getting all the timestamps into the show. We should probably give a shout out to, also while we're at it, to Jay Meow, another great community member who makes sure that this thing gets up on podcast services of your choice. So if you don't like to listen with your eyes and you prefer to listen with your ears, podcast services of your choice. Again, link in the description below. For those podcasts. First, viewer takeover question. Sci-Fi Geek Cat Henry says, #viewer takeover. With PlayStation Plus now having a tiered subscription plan, do you think PSVR2 titles like Horizon Call of the Mountain could show up there when PSVR2 launches? Even if it's only at the premium level, I'm in. What do you think, Miles? Is this feasible? Do you think we'll see any PSVR2 titles launch as straighted as part of the tiered PlayStation Plus subscription plan?
It was interesting because as soon as I read this, halfway through the question, I was like, nope, there's no way a first-party release title is going to be there straight away. Sony have mentioned that. And then I got to the bit about if only at the premium level, and I was like, okay, maybe. But then I thought about Stray, which came out this month. Although it did come out at the premium level, it was also the extra level, which is the mid-tier.
Yeah.
And the extra tier is about that games catalogue of modern games, whereas premium is all about the classic games. It does come with trials, though. So there could be something there where a trial of the game could be available. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a launch title that you have to pay for fully. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to give way on that. But I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. But I think the trial thing for premium members could be like, you know, a full level or something like that. I think that could also appeal to a lot of VR. They could even have a VR trial package for that premium tier.
Yeah, I think for first party games, I think you're absolutely right. First party games, I think would be, I mean, there's a reason Jim Ryan said what he said about the first party games. They want to keep the level of quality as high as possible. They don't want to have to worry about, about basically keeping to a certain budget, a lower budget than anticipated, because it's going to be like, because it's going to be just included as part of some like Xbox Live subscription plan. And so I think that's going to be true 100% for first party games. But it was a real pleasant surprise when we saw Stray come to the PlayStation Plus. Was that essential, or was that just one tier?
So that was on that. So they advertised it across all three tiers, but it was extra, the middle one, because the extra is like what PlayStation Now was. It was all the modern titles. Okay. Premium, the top tier, is cloud gaming, classic games, and game trials, which has a very limited list at the moment. So they, it might be something that Sony pushes and says, hey, as we go into the new year, we want to get more and more games signed up with demo versions for that tier.
Yeah, so like Stray, I could certainly see some PSVR2 titles that have a lot more clout to them. I mean, Stray is a game that just millions of people are going to buy no matter what. There were so many people following that game that including it in the in the PlayStation Plus, one of the PlayStation Plus tiers, it was kind of unnecessary. Like it just seemed like that game was going to make its money no matter what. And so if PlayStation's willing to do this for a title that has as much clout as Stray, I could absolutely see them doing this for, like a bigger third party PSVR 2 game as well. So yeah, I do think so, but not for games like Horizon, just like Miles said. Shout out to Nidogger, the European Zokergato, with the €1 donation. Thank you so much. We appreciate your donation. We also get Sir Moses in the chat with the 5 rupees. Says, hi, Miles. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Are you guys worried about the future of PSVR 2 and PS5 after the recent news regarding Taiwan and China? No.
Wow, that was an interesting mix. I didn't expect that part of the question to come into it.
Yeah.
Simple answer is no. We've had a pandemic. We've had the stuff going on in Ukraine. The truth is that as terrible as global events are, at the end of the day, we are a global marketplace. Mm-hmm. And without going too specifically into the China-Taiwan situation, the truth is that China wants Taiwan to keep its industries open because it's an economy that they want to be associated with. So there's no motivation to cause harm in that way. My geopolitical understandings don't go much deeper than that. But yeah, the fact that we are in a global marketplace for a console and, for devices that have global appeal, if there are supply issues in one area, there are ways that you can overcome it in other ways. They might not be able to produce as many PSVR 2s as they want to, like they've had with the PS5 because of global issues. But I don't think it's going to stop people that really want to get them from the get-go. I think PSVR 2 fans are going to have a better time at getting PSVR 2s than PS5 fans were at getting PS5s, just because I think the demand. I think PSVR 2 is going to sell out, but that's after all the hardcore people have got it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I feel that PS5s sold out when there were still lots of hardcore people on day one still trying to get it.
Yeah, I mean, we can go so deep into this. It's absolutely crazy. First, yeah, I mean, to simplify everything you just said, everything comes down to money, right? We can talk all day about everything that's going on in the world, but when it comes down to money, everybody wants their money, and no one's going to stop themselves from making money, and that's the most important thing for so many of the situations that are going on right now. The other part. No, I'm not even going to go further with this because I feel like, again, we could spend all day on it, and and there's no point in it.
And actually, next week's episode is going to be on China and Taiwan, so stay tuned for that.
I mean, if there's any if this goes any further, right? If more comes out of it, and Sony has to say anything, and suddenly there's supply chain problems and this and that, whatever. I mean. Sure, we'll do a whole episode on it, but I don't.
Next week's title will be: Is PSVR 2 our only way of escaping nuclear war?
That sounds like a recent GAMESCAST title. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Next question over on Viewer Takeover. Do you want to take this one, Miles?
Sure. Yeah. No worries. This comes from Arseek, the see-through game cat. What other PSVR game would you like to be optimized for the PS5? Keep you busy until PSVR 2 is out.
It's actually a good question, right? Because so many games, a lot of games just kind of like naturally worked better with PlayStation 5 because of their use of dynamic resolution. And so you'd put on the headset and go, Jesus, this game looks phenomenal on the PlayStation 5. Everything in Dreams looks 5 times better. But for a developer to actually go in, we heard a lot of developers make bold claims like London Studio about Blood and Truth. We heard from First Contact Entertainment about Firewall. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, doing side-by-side comparisons, those claims are kind of bullshit, right? If there were improvements, it was absolutely impossible to tell in the headset. Placebo effect aside, which is definitely what I'm pointing to anytime someone says, oh yeah, it looks so much better. Because it doesn't. Like, you play one right after the other, and you can take video and you zoom them in, and you there's nothing here, right? But there is potential there to to up the resolution, make your use the higher processing power for better texture work, for better texture resolution, better frame rates, better refresh rates, the whole thing, right? So there are certain games that do actually look a whole lot better on PlayStation 5. And it would be really cool if we were able to go back to the library and go, like, man, this is worth replaying just because it looks so much better than it did all the way back when I played it on the OG or the Pro. So what game would you pick to get an overhaul?
Does it count as an overhaul if I say make it so the game doesn't randomly pause on the PS5? Does that count as
I think
optimization?
It's a good... yeah. I think that's a great answer.
Okay, because I was actually mentioning it on this extra show we did on Wednesday with Wes that when I was showing Rush of Blood to one of my parents' friends, she'd never experienced VR before. It was a great game to put her into after doing the shark cage one first, which is always good. And throughout it, the game kept pausing, and I didn't know about this issue, and I kept saying, "Oh no, yeah, just keep your hands there so you don't press it." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I didn't think I was." And then it paused again. I went, no, just don't press this. And she's like, no, I'm not. And I just look back now, feeling terrible that I wasn't being like aggressive or anything. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure you're not pressing it, but please don't press it. And she must have just had this complex going on that, she thought, because it's a lot to deal with when you're not a gamer and you've not done VR before, and you're trying to think about what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
And she keeps being told not to do something that she's pretty sure she's not doing. And then later on watching one of your shows, it's like, oh, by the way, this is an error. And I instantly had a flashback and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. So yeah, I would love to go back and play more Rush of Blood. And I'm sure there are other optimizations they could do other than stopping the game from stopping randomly.
Yeah. You know what's really funny is that I can't actually think of any game that I really want to go back and replay, right? Or any kind of improvement for any game that would convince me to go back and play it more, right?
None at all?
I can't. I honestly can't. And I could throw out examples. And I think if AJ's out there watching, he's going to laugh at me for saying this. But there's a game called Blind Spot, right? And Blind Spot was like this 3-part puzzle game where you kind of like just explore this mansion. And here, let me bring up the trailer. Is this it? This is it. And so, and it was exactly what I wanted at the time. It was like this sort of not quite escape room, but certainly like solid puzzle game, and just like this beautiful mansion to explore. The art design was great. The puzzles were really well done, but there was just like this very, very, especially at the time, very typical blur. There was a long stretch of time where like all these PSVR games were coming out and they were all just fucking blurry because developers like just didn't know what they were doing and like they weren't getting the help that they needed, and so everything that was coming out on PSVR was just fucking blurry. And this was a prime example of that. Such a great game, or in my book, such a great game, certainly with its flaws. But man, if I could play through this again with crystal clear resolution, something that even the OG PS4 was capable of doing. This developer just didn't have the chops to do it. With the added power of the PlayStation 5, maybe they'd be able to, optimize it a little bit better. I would like to play through Blind Spot again. It gets so much undeserved love from me, right? The music is great. It's got a great art design. The story's silly, but like it really was just what I wanted at the time. This game's come along every so often, Miles, where it's just like this game wasn't great, but it was just what I needed when it came out. It was exactly the game I wanted at just the right time. And that's what Blind Spot was for me. I really enjoyed this one. I just wish that it was better, and only better graphically. That's all it needed was better graphics, better resolution even. That's it.
That's a good choice,
I guess.
Right, we have time for one more.
Oh, are we on a schedule today? We have time for one more. We actually have time for 17 more, Miles, because...
We don't. We're actually behind schedule at the moment.
We're always
but we
behind
have time.
schedule.
We make time.
All right, fine.
I mean, I'm 5 hours ahead. So what is time?
Time, yeah. For a show that's supposed to be 1 hour, we're very, very good at making it a 2-hour show every single week. Let's try not to do that this week because we value your bedtime. This one, dude. This is nice. I don't recognize the username, and it's nice seeing new usernames come along, not just here in the chat, but over on Discord. And this comes to us from a user called Scotty T.
Let's not do it then. We don't have time. Let's move on.
We'll only read viewer takeover questions if you've been in the community for 7 years or longer. We're sorry, Scotty.
Yeah.
It's just we don't welcome new people.
No.
This is just how it works. We don't welcome new people.
This is a good question, so let's go for it.
All right, Scotty T says, assuming we do get a fancy new social, this is a direct response to our show last Friday. Assuming we do get a fancy new social PS Home type VR environment with PSVR2, what do you think the likelihood of this being compatible with the OG PS4 2? Would love to hand the OG over to friends or family. Is there life in the old dog post PSVR 2 release? We all assume that the games will be PSVR 2 only, but I see no reason for something like PlayStation Home not supporting it. What are your thoughts? Okay, so you and I last week talked all about having PlayStation Home VR, right? Essentially maybe being a cross platform, being a flat screen and VR environment. Our own metaverse built by Sony, movie theaters, malls, little cosmetic microtransactions, things you can buy, movies you can watch, places to hang out with your friends. Your own virtual room to hang out in with trophies on the wall, right? And customizable, invite your friends over, the whole thing, right? What's Scotty T's asking, could this be also possible on PSVR 1? Why is PSVR 1 dead? Is there still life in it? What's the deal, Miles? What do you think's going to happen? What are you doing?
Well, the first thing I mentioned, but we will park this on the side, is it does go to a broader question of the idea of, is there going to be cross-platform? Is there going to be cross-play for any games where you'll be able to play multiplayer, with people on PSVR with PSVR 2? I don't know for this. I would say if this was their big push of like, this is our version of the metaverse, this is going to be a system seller. So they're just going to say you're going to need PSVR 2 to do it because you have to have the new headset and the new hardware to make it work. Or maybe if you're on PS4 and PSVR and you get a version, and what you do is you go in and you can be invited by your friend to their home and you spawn in like a little glass cage and you can just watch them having a great time and you can't do anything until you click a button that orders a PSVR 2. And Jim Ryan actually says to you directly, thank you. We knew you would do the right thing.
So we want to torture people who don't have PSVR 2.
Look at all the fun you
could be having.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not my idea. This is just allegedly what Jim Ryan's like.
I think it's your idea. I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I'm pretty sure that's your idea.
It's not. Allegedly, Jim Ryan is thinking of this. So, yeah. Don't approve of it myself.
There's a lot of allegedly going on out on the internet these days.
We have to, because he has good lawyers, we have good ones, don't we, Brian?
Yeah. We just like cats more than he does. He seems to be
allegedly.
Allegedly, he's a bigger fan of dogs. I don't even know where to go with this, dude. The funny thing is that there's a lot of people on Without Parole. Like I feel like we've gone over this so many times. Every video I make, I feel like I try to clarify further. We have the Everything We Know About PSVR 2 video. It doesn't matter what you say. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there, right? And I'm not putting this misunderstanding on Scotty T. I'm putting it on putting it on us for maybe not doing as good of a job as maybe we should be. I'm also putting it on Sony for not explaining things maybe as well as they need to for the mainstream, the people who aren't paying super close attention to every single detail that comes out all the time. And maybe they're going to get better at doing that. Maybe in September, during a September showcase, when they talk for the first time at length about PSVR 2. That's the thing, is they've never talked at length about it ever, right? And so maybe that will finally put all of these questions to rest, but there are still people saying, will I be able to use PSVR 2 on my PlayStation 4 or PS4 Pro, right? And I know that's not what Scotty T is asking, but I'm saying that there's a lot of questions out there that I feel are easy to answer, right? And I think Scotty T's question is easy to answer too. The answer is no. It's just not going to happen. There's no chance at all of whatever's happening on PSVR2, whether it be a new PlayStation Home or some kind of metaverse. It's just not going to happen on PSVR1. And the answer is PSVR1 is, for all intents and purposes, pretty fucking dead, right? I will tell you right now, I can't believe, I had a conversation in the comments about this earlier today. I can't believe that Skydance Interactive is making Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution for PSVR1. Like, I'm actually sort of blown away by that fact, because there's no reason for them to. There's no, the market isn't there. I guarantee you they will either break even or lose money on the PSVR1 port of Retribution. That's the answer. Money. Again, just like the prior question, money. It all comes down to money, and there's just no money in PSVR1 anymore. That's why every single developer, no matter how small their project, has jumped ship to PlayStation VR2. That's the sad truth.
No, it really is.
That's why we don't talk much about PSVR1 anymore, because there's not that much to talk about.
Well, the way we were describing it the other day was or actually earlier today was, it's like we're currently treading water. We're in this ocean, and we're looking for some remnants of like PSVR2 news bobbing over the water, so we can just grab it and talk lots about it. As soon as it's here with us, we're not going to have enough time to talk about everything that we want to. But that's just the nature of the industry. But exciting times.
Jack K in the chat says our only hope would be for backwards compatibility to revive a few games, and I don't even think that's our real hope here. I think backwards compatibility would be nice, especially from a game preservation standpoint. But I think it's really going to be on developers. Developers, if they really want to support their game, there is no reason. We know of developers doing this already. There's no reason why people like the Blind Spot team, if they're still around, hopefully they are, they can go take their PSVR1 version of their game. They can make a PS5 PSVR2 SKU, right? And then they can sell that to new PSVR2 gamers. And for anyone who, and there is an easy way for any developer who's ever made a PSVR game or a PlayStation 4 game prior, they know this. You don't have to charge for the upgrade. You don't have to sell a brand new SKU. You can say, hey, this upgrade is free for people who've already bought it. And so I think that's our big hope, is that developers care enough about the people who supported them during the PSVR1 era to give them the free upgrade. And then here's this upgraded version, that not only do we get to play for free because we already bought it last gen, but here it kind of feels like a PlayStation VR2 game because it supports the Sense controllers, it supports the 4K display, it supports the haptics in the headset, all of that stuff, analog sticks rather than holding a move button down, and so that's the smart move. And any VR developer that's still out there, and if there's any VR developer out there who made a PSVR1 game that's actually listening to this podcast right now, I'm telling you, you need to do this. You need to do this. It's way cheaper than developing a brand new game from scratch. And it gives new life into your old game, right? Support the people who supported you, and then also sell your game to a brand new audience. It's absolutely the best way.
Agreed. And it's also a stepping stone for new revenue streams, because often on PlayStation Plus, we've had old games come back. I remember when Sims 4, I think it was a free game for the month, and I hadn't played The Sims since the original. And Sims 4, I think at that point had been out for at least 1 or 2 years. Yeah. And I started playing it, and then you realise that there are all these DLC packs, like tens of them, and that's what they hedge their bets on, is make it freely available. Yes, they do get paid by Sony, but you get a new influx of a player base, and a percentage of them will buy DLC. And so there's an argument to be made that for PSVR games that then get an upgrade for PSVR2, you then could make DLC that is for the new generation's version of that game. Yeah. And as you say, it's in somewhat many ways a lot cheaper to do that than it is to develop brand new games. But we're not saying it should be either or. But in terms of revenue, it could be a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, No, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's going to be the Beat Saber model for sure, right?
Yes.
It would be unfair for Beat Games to go, oh hey guys, the people who have been playing our game for the last 5 years on PSVR1, we're going to charge you $30 again for the PSVR2 version. Of course they're not going to. They're going to give us a free upgrade because they want us to keep buying their DLC. They're going to make way more money that way. A lot of people would stop in their track and go, $30 again? I don't know, man. Maybe it's time to move on to Synth Riders. Maybe it's time to move back onto Audica. Maybe it would give people pause and make and give them an excuse to jump out of that ecosystem. And nobody wants that to happen, right? If you're playing Beat Saber, they want you to keep playing Beat Saber.
You reminded me of a question I wanted to ask last week. We didn't get a chance. We technically don't have a chance now, but I'm going to do it anyway. But with Beat Games and Beat Saber, I do wonder. Beat Games would have not got a PlayStation VR2 dev kit, would they? Because they're owned by Meta. But then on the same site, at the same time, Sony wants Beat Saber to make the most of this new headset because Beat Saber is one of the biggest selling games and continues to be the best revenue stream for all their DLCs. So I'm just curious and thinking out loud here. I don't assume that you might have an answer for it, but because they are owned by Meta, does that mean they get unofficially blacklisted from Sony from having a dev kit? Because that early on, you're giving them Meta a heads up of, by the way, this is what your competitor's going to be releasing in a year's time. I
doubt it, man. Again, everything is decided with money. If you've got money and you've got ways for, if Sony comes to Meta and says, hey, we've got a way for you to make money, and Meta goes, we've got a way for you to make money. It's like the console war nonsense is all about the fans. It has nothing to do with the businesses themselves, right? Console, like the people behind the scenes, they're making deals left and right. And so absolutely Sony's going to Meta and being like, Beat Saber 2, Beat Saber's going to be on PSVR 2, right? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. What about that game that you guys paid for, that Wanderer game? Can we get that over here? Fucking, there you go.
Oh.
Let's make a deal. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I think that's exactly right. My point is the dev kits that Beat Games would have wanted to optimize Beat Saber for PSVR 2.
Oh, you're saying there's a competition there, and so they wouldn't
because
want...
if you give them the technology a year out at a time when Oculus are looking at what their third one is going to be, that is slightly different because that is actually giving them the heads up on your competitive advantage. So I'm just curious. Maybe PlayStation are like, Beat Games are going to want to be on it anyway, so they'll have their own optimizations that they'll be doing, assuming things, and then they can tweak it once it comes out.
Luckily in this specific example. And I think a lot of other games would require much more work, but Beat Saber is such a simple game, right, by nature.
Yes.
That I would be absolutely shocked if these guys couldn't port their game to PSVR 2 in like a couple months, right, at most. And so I highly doubt that they needed a PSVR 2 dev kit a year before launch, right? If they get their dev kit right now,
yes.
Right, and that's really too late for Meta to make any changes anyway to their plans. Like
that I agree with. I think it probably is a last minute thing. Yeah.
But that is a good question. I really didn't consider it from that angle. I was just thinking, I don't think I understood the full breadth of your question when you first asked it. But now that I'm sort of understanding it fully, it is an interesting relationship. So I'm curious myself. Yeah. All right, man, and with a full hour of viewer takeover questions under our belt, it's time to start the show. Let's see here. What's the? This is maybe I would have reorganized some of these because I don't want to start the show 41 minutes in on a sad note.
Sad story,
right? But dude, Sparc servers, as far as I know, are shut down now. They may still be up right now as of this very moment, but last night was supposed to be the very end of Sparc. I haven't checked today. Did you check today by any chance?
I haven't checked, and I'm gutted that I haven't played all week. So maybe I'll jump on afterwards and see if I can get in there. But yeah I'm absolutely gutted this game's going.
The press release that CCP put out a month ago, maybe longer, said that on August 5th, as of August 5th, 2022, the Sparc servers would be shutting down, and And so a few of us got online last night, and we're like, hey, let's do this, because who knows? Are they shutting down at midnight? We have no idea what the plan is. And so I will say, I was actually pretty surprised that when I got on, it was not the massive celebration. I thought we were going to flood the servers. I thought that there's going to be all these private rooms going on, all these public rooms going on. And I'll tell you, there was 4 rooms, and I knew the people in 2 of them. So I did play public first. I joined a couple of people right off. It was a room just with 2 people, and I hung out with them for a little bit. And then I realized that I hadn't played this game in a while. My apartment was really hot. The air conditioner was not doing as well as it should have been, and I was sweating. And so I was like, man, I'm not going to be playing this for hours like I thought. I'm going to be playing this for half an hour. And so I better jump in with my friends and go play with them. And so this is just some footage of me playing last night. It was fun, but I will say it felt pretty casual. Like, it was not the intense battles that we used to have, because I think we were all out of practice. Miles, what's your history with this game, man? Did you get in while the going was good, or what was the deal?
Yeah, I can't actually remember when I jumped in, and it was probably one of those moments where I was a regular GameCat watcher, and I'd seen a review of it, and I absolutely love this game. And I think I mentioned it on the previous show when we first announced the news of it closing down, that for me it was the first time I really got a feeling of what the holodeck is like in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because this is not a regular sport put into, here's a VR version of a sport that you can play anyway. This is literally a sport that is created that you can only play in VR. And I love it for that reason, firstly. I love the fact that despite it being a very simple game, they've really thought about lots of nice touches. For example, when you're waiting to play, you're standing around a box that you're looking in.
Yeah.
And if you're playing, you can actually see these giants around you, around the box.
Dude, in that element, as well. That element was so perfect, because it's not just waiting to play. It's a physically active game. And so if you've got 4 people in a room, for the most part, you don't have to play every single round, right? So you play around, you build up sweat, your heart starts racing, you win, you lose, doesn't matter. You get to sit out and watch a match, right? And you get to recover. It's absolutely perfect. Like, they really put a lot of thought into this.
That's exactly right. And, even the customization at the very start, simple but great. I like the art style of how your characters look. But I actually think the game itself, and there might be someone that says, hey, it's actually very similar to this game that's been made before. I personally feel it's quite an original game. Yes, it feels a bit like Dodgeball and other things like that. But we were speaking earlier about it, and you said that you forgot about at first when you started playing it. Yeah, how to play, of like, oh, you're not supposed to get hit. Because, when you look at it, you think you've got to protect that target behind you. But it's like, no, it can hit that as much as you want. It just can't hit you. But the more it hits that behind you, the bigger the ball gets and the faster it goes. Like, that alone is a really great dynamic. And I think you don't really appreciate it until you play I can't remember what the 2 modes were called. I'm just going to call it like basic and advanced.
That's exactly what it is.
Is it? Yeah. So basic, you get like the knuckle dusters, so you can actually punch the ball. Advanced, you lose the knuckle dusters, and instead, I believe advanced also, it's either there's no time limit, or I can't remember, but the advanced mode basically is more about stamina. Like the basic mode, when the time is up, that's it. Whereas on advanced mode, it's like, no, you keep playing until you get to that score, which means that you really do have to. I might be getting confused with a third mode, but there was a mode where it's like, it might be in the competition mode, where it is a battle of stamina and endurance that eventually one of the players is going to be knackered and falter for that reason. And yeah, for me, it makes the game really, really exciting.
Yeah, I think one is to a particular score, and one is to based on time.
Yeah,
I played both last night. I got to be honest. Again, like we were saying, I was like, I forgot the rules of this game. Like, I just forgot how to play. It didn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes to start getting some of the finer nuances back, and really remembering, oh right, and Nick in the chat, who just checked, apparently the servers are officially down. So we have put this game to rest. We've put it to bed. it's been a fun few years, but I mean, I do have to be honest, right? When we're saying, oh man, it's really sad to see Sparc go. This was the first time I played Sparc in like 2 years, and I only played because this is my last chance to play, and so it's hard to like feel too bad about it. It's like if I was playing it every single day. Okay, so let's put it this way. The first group of people that I played with last night are people who have been playing this game pretty much every day since the game came out. Like they are obsessed with Sparc. And so they weren't playing it because it was the last day. They were playing because they always play. Right? And so for those people, I feel really bad. If there's anybody out there in the community who really fucking enjoyed Sparc and just was like, never stop playing. I had my time with it. I played it for months and then it was over. And I felt like I mean, what was it, $30 or something? Man, boy, did I ever get my $30 out of this game during those 3 months. Because I played for like probably 100 hours. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Because on the other hand, I've not played it in months. But this is a classic example of a PSVR game where I really liked it, and the reason I stopped playing it was because it's what I call like critical mass with multiplayer, and critical mass is like the minimum number of players you need for it to constantly feel active. Because if you start logging on and no one else is there and you're waiting around, then you're like, okay, I'm probably not going to bother, and you come less and less. Whereas if you have that minimum number of players, it encourages each other to keep coming back because they at least know whenever I log on, there's going to be someone to play with.
Yeah.
The Ubisoft Wolf game. Werewolves Within, thank you. That's another game. Really enjoyed it, but just no one's on. And I find that to be a real shame as well. So Sparc is a game I was always hopeful would get a new version for, maybe for PSVR2. Maybe it will one day. Or if someone else can get the rights to it and that. But I would be incredibly sad if something like this doesn't... Like, for me, this would definitely fit in a top... It would be a top 25 contender for games, PSVR games of the entire generation.
Yeah, when it came out and when we were all obsessed with it, it certainly made our list at least a couple times. It may have even, I think we were so obsessed with it, it might have been number one time. Like that's how much we love this game.
The other thing I was just going to say was it's also a game that I always showed friends who'd never experienced VR before, because you want things that really make people feel a sense of presence, and the feeling of throwing it and deflecting it, that shield, all of those motions and the momentum you feel with the ball, it all felt really great. And even the mini games they had, the target practice and that, those were actually really good fun. They had scoreboards on it, and the training was really good. And it's one of those games where it's easy to learn, difficult to master. Like there's an interesting learning curve. Anyone could get in there and have a really good time with it. And there'd be times I'd play it and I'd hear fathers playing it and then swapping it with their kid who'd have a go, and teaching each other. Like, I think that's just really cool. And so I do feel it was a very innovative PSVR game, with the fact that it wasn't just here's a sports game and a VR version, or here is a game that you've played before and a VR version. Like, no, this was a game made for VR, and I think they did it really well.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. I saw Nathan in the chat. What's up, dude? He says it's a little scary to see all these live service games kind of shut down, and it is. Also, it's also the end of a generation. I think. I think even though Quest 2 seems to be going strong, obviously there are plans in the works over there for their new headsets to come along, and obviously to be coming out sooner rather than later. PSVR 2 will be out sooner rather than later. Who the fuck knows what Apple is doing? Apparently they've got a headset in the works for the last 17 years. Every year somebody goes, oh, this is the year that Apple's putting out a fucking headset. And so, like, really, we're so ready. The next gen of VR is right around the corner. And CCP seems like they've had just like so many different problems over the years that I don't think this is an example of just a VR generation transition. I don't think that's what's happening here with them specifically, but I do think that's what's happening with most of these things with like Ubisoft and everybody else. And so we'll see how that goes. Miles,
Saying that, just the last thing I wanted to say on Sparc was the one thing that does annoy me is it is the perfect game to be given PvP, person-to-person server support.
Agreed.
Because you play with one other person. If one of you leaves and it crashes, that's fair enough. Like, that would have been a great way to, allow it to stand up. I assume you can't ask for a refund then on the PlayStation because you've now got a game that entirely doesn't work. I mean, I wouldn't be asking for a refund.
I mean,
I assume that
if you bought it today, I think you could get a refund.
Sure,
right.
But like, at what point?
Whoa! What just happened? See if this works. All right, I think we're back. I have no idea what happened. It looks like OBS just shut down. Miles, you were in the middle of saying.
Well, I just made the point about
contemplating how long. I think we had an entire conversation about this, right? Didn't we have a whole conversation about what do developers owe us? Like after you buy a game, like how much time should you be guaranteed to be able to keep playing multiplayer?
We did have that, but this is actually like that was in theoretical terms. This is like actually a really like
it was sort of.
No, you're right.
I think then it was in response to Swords of Gargantua, right? And so this is just the latest example of that. It sucks if anybody bought it last month or whenever they the day before they stopped selling it. That would really suck. I think. Yeah. I do think that as advanced as video games have gotten, as evolved as the industry has become, every generation sort of brings up these new questions that need to be addressed, and I don't think this particular question has been addressed, not really well yet. And I've talked to different developers, and they say, it's kind of unfair for you to say, that when we launch a multiplayer game, it's sort of unfair for you to ask us to keep the servers up for 3 years or a specific set of time. Like that will keep smaller developers from making these types of games. And in my perspective is, well, maybe these aren't the types of games you should be making, right? Like this type of game sounds like it's beyond your means. And so I do think that there needs to be some kind of standard. But at the same time, we don't want to limit creativity, right? We don't want to be like, well, we could have the most amazing multiplayer game and get to play it for a full year, right? And we'd be like, wow, we had so many great memories of that shit. But then because of these new standards that get put in place, we go, well, no, that game never gets made now. It's like, which would you rather have, an amazing 1 year with a game or never have it to begin with? And I think that's a tough question to answer.
Alvo VR in the chat, welcome, was saying how cheap servers are. And obviously this is just one example, says about $1,000 a year to keep Sparc up. I mean, it is cheap, but also if you're not developing or functioning as an independent developer anymore, that's a cost that you just don't want to deal with. However, for a company like Sony, and this is what we spoke about on the last time we went over this, so we won't go into this in too much detail now, but it's the idea that Sony should probably have a agreement in place that, well, if we're distributing games, we should be offering at least a small amount of servers to at least allow a small portion of people to play it if this company ceases to exist, because Sony made a cut out of Sparc sales, but so that whatever percentage that is, that's the percentage of servers they should be maintaining, in my opinion.
$1,000 a year doesn't sound terribly bad, but at the same time, if you're generating zero sales for that game, then that's just $1,000. Like, and your business is making $0 a year, and you're just paying for other people to play a game. At what point do you say, well, that's just not fair anymore? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a shame. The Sparc story should have been a more successful story, and I will tell you right now, looking at the chat and looking at the poll in the chat.
We'll just hit 200 votes. This is a good time to end it.
Perfect. Well, the end results with 200 votes is that, and I don't know because I hit end and it then disappeared from my screen.
What was the question? I've got the results here, Brian. You got them?
Did you ever play Sparc? No, what is it? Was 41% achieving the highest results. No, and I wish I did. 31%. So, Miles, before we even get to the rest of the results, the people who never played it, whether they wanted to, didn't know what it was, or wish they had played it, the people who never played it that are watching right now, 72% of the people here have never played Sparc. And then there's only 26% between yes, I loved it, and the 3% who said yes, but fuck that game, with 3%. 26% of the people here played it, which isn't a terribly high number for a game that we put at number 1 on one of our top 20 lists, which is crazy.
If Sparc had come out in the last 2 years, or like during the pandemic, I think it still looks and plays good enough that it could have come out at any point in the PSVR cycle and done well. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, I think that because it came out so early and it entirely relies on multiplayer, I think it did well for what it is. There's an argument that it could have done even better if it had come out later. That's not a criticism of the developers because no one has a crystal ball and stuff. But
right,
it is one of those games that I think if it come out later, arguably it could have done even better because, you know, games come and go and a lot of people are just looking for the latest games. There are how many PSVR games? 500?
Yeah, about 550, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot to go through and a lot of them there's a lot of just good games on there. And if you're looking at, this game came out, it's entirely multiplayer and it came out a few years ago, not many people are playing it now. It's the question I hear from a lot of my friends of, okay, is it worth spending the money? Because am I going to buy it and then have no one to play with? You know.
Right. Interesting, man. Very interesting. We got to move along, though. So hopefully you get a chance to play Sparc last night if you wanted to give it one more last hurrah. We did put the message out on our Discord, and so if you didn't know that Sparc was shutting down, then my apologies, but come join our Discord, man. Click the link in the description below, and so you'll always be on top of this stuff, and you'll always be invited to all these multiplayer meetups. Speaking of which, there is another multiplayer meetup, as there are every single Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Professor Lewis with a $5 tip educates us on this one. It says, "Hi, GameCats. Come play Rigs, Mechanized Combat League, another game whose servers are shutting down soon. Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Dual Shock only, be the mech." Are you a Rigs fan?
It was one of the first PSVR games I played, and I really liked the sort of the world building, which seems like quite a strange thing to say about a sports game.
Yeah.
But the fact that between matches you're on your flight and, like, you know, looking out the window and, you know, going to the next match, I really liked that world building of a sport. That's the kind of sports games I want to see on PSVR 2. You know, you're playing with friends and you're in a team and you're actually walking around and you have a sense of working your way up through the leagues. I enjoyed it. It made me really motion sick, just because as you're moving around and wherever you look, it's like, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of motion there. And maybe that's something that would be fixed on PSVR 2 with a lot of the new developments. But yeah, I did feel a lot of motion sickness on it, but I did have a good time.
Yeah, I thought Riggs was incredible from a technical standpoint when I played it. I loved how fast and fluid it moved. They gave you this complete freedom of movement that a lot of games weren't doing at launch, where it's just it felt amazing to play. You felt like you were in this mech. The sport itself, I just didn't care for. I was like, oh, this doesn't interest me whatsoever, and I forced myself play. I would come back to it every 6 months or so and play for another hour and go, no, I love moving around in this mech. I just wish I was doing something different than, you know, some kind of sports ball thing. It just didn't, that element of it just didn't appeal to me whatsoever. It didn't help that I'd never got any good at it. And so maybe if I'd gotten better at it, like it's that kind of, you know, the reward of winning or the satisfaction of winning would have kept me coming back. But I was just bad at it. And I didn't care to get better. So that didn't help. But I'll probably drop in this Sunday, though, because, again, got to give these games one last hurrah. It would really suck, I got to say, Miles, if I jumped in this Sunday and I fucking loved it. And I was like, oh, my God, I should have been playing this every day for the last 6 years. Right. What have I been doing? That would have really sucked. Yeah.
Well, off the back of the last point you were making, often with these games, the one point you made, that as you get better, the strategy changes, and then you really make the most of all the features that are on offer, and that's when you really enjoy it. But secondly, especially in a team game like this, when you're actually playing with people that you know and you're playing a game after game after game, it's not just about how you better as yourself as a player. It's about how you unite and develop as a team. And if we're playing Sunday with lots of game cats, we might find ourselves getting into some nice trios and being like, oh wow, actually we could do really well at this. This game's amazing, and that would be absolutely gutting. Yeah.
I mean, we get two more tips before we move on to the main story of the week. First tip comes to us from Wally is now a game cat, specifically a white tiger, with the Canadian $2 tip. Says, hey Brian, I love this short video or short form video. Yesterday I put up a video. It's something I'd been toying around with in my mind and even experimenting with behind the scenes for a while. Just like a kind of like a short 5-minute op-ed. We have all these great conversations on GAMESCAST, but a lot of times they get lost in the 2-hour video format that's GAMESCAST, right? And so despite the fact we have 80-something thousand subscribers, GAMESCAST gets watched by 3,000 of them. And so I was like, well, maybe condensing some of these conversations down to, like an edited 5-minute video would be really fun, and just and to kind of just get the information out there in a different format. And so the reaction to yesterday's video was super positive. I want to thank everybody for letting me know what they thought about it, because anytime I do something new, it's always you're putting yourself out there, and you're saying, gee, I hope people are interested in this. And I was very well prepared for people to go, not interested, thumbs down, as I always am. And it was quite the opposite. So the fact that you guys told me that you liked it, I'm definitely expect to see at least one of those a week, because I had a lot of fun making it. The other tip comes to us from Gatorade23. $10 tip says, what do you think the chances are for a Skyrim PSVR2 update? With Bethesda's love for reselling that game, I'm hopeful. I guess the other side of it, of course, is that they're owned by Microsoft now, right? Did that deal officially went through? The ZeniMax deal?
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if it has. Maybe it has gone. I think it hasn't gone through yet, but I'm not sure. The only thing about that is, if Xbox had its own VR, or if the new Skyrim was going to be put on other platforms that Game Pass was going to be available on, then I think they would. But making it just for PSVR 2, I don't think it's a big enough market for them to want to do it. Because it goes back to what you said, Brian, it's about money. If there was a massive market on PSVR 2 that everyone was likely to buy Skyrim again, then I think Xbox would say, hey, yeah, we'll employ a small team to do that. Yeah.
Agreed. They don't have any competition, right? Like there would have to be some sort of equivalent on the new Xbox platform, on Series X, to say, hey, yeah, well, they got a new VR version over there on the competing platform, right? They've got this, what we would potentially call the premier way to play Skyrim. Like, after it's been released and re-released and re-released and re-released throughout the years, this is the definitive way to play Skyrim in the highest resolution on PSVR 2 with all. It would be amazing. And so for the parent company that would make that game to say, yeah, we're just going to allow this to happen on our competitor system without saying we have an ultra HD blah 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 version over here on Xbox Series X with new content and exclusive stuff, this and that, would seem kind of strange. That said, who the fuck knows, man? Who the fuck knows? We did get Minecraft VR on PlayStation VR long after Mojang was acquired by Microsoft. So I don't, again.
But that wasn't like an upgrade. Like, that was just a VR version, which they have done, but to do
it was even a free upgrade. That was the weird thing, right? It was a free VR upgrade to the existing PS4 game.
Which I do still want to jump in with some friends and do a new campaign on that, because it is amazing. By the way, can we just reach for the chat? Twitch, the single player game cat, was saying, sorry, no credit for a super chat, but he says, don't forget the single player Meetup too. This week's single player game is Astrobot. Come join the discussion in the Backlog Club channel.
The Backlog Club. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I forget that there's a Backlog Club. On Discord, I very infrequently venture out past the Without Parole retro channel and in general. Like, I hang out in voice chat and keep an eye on general, and I very infrequently venture out past that. The Backlog Club. If you've got a huge backlog of games and and you want to like have an excuse to jump in and like and kind of knock some of those games out and talk about them with friends, that's what the Backlog Club on Discord is all about. I love it. Yeah,
I didn't know about that one, so that's really, really great.
Dude, there's like 1,000 channels on the Without Parole Discord.
Dude, I know.
I couldn't even find. I was looking for the art channel today. Because Josh had posted something cool in there, and I was scrolling through, and I was like, "Where the fuck is it, man? We've got like 50 channels. I don't even know where it is." Yeah. Sorry. What conversation were we just on? I have no idea, dude.
We were answering a question in the chat.
Everything got like crazy hot in here, like just like that. Like I don't know what happened. I can feel the AC on, but like there was just this wave of heat that just came over me. I think like I'd been sick. You guys know I'd been sick for like 2 weeks, and I'm just now recovering from it. And I think in the middle of this show, like a fever just kicked back in because like from head to toe, I just got super fucking hot all of a sudden. Super fucking hot all of a sudden. So that was really weird. And so I apologize if I act strangely for the rest of the show, but it's hard to tell, I think, right? Because I always act strange.
Strange is a part of the way we work on it.
I think it's kind of the deal. And we had one more tip come to us from Genetic Blasphemy, or GB, the first colossal chromatic gaming squid cat. I feel like that needs like a kind of like a squiddy type motion.
Well, what's the name of the alien from Futurama that also does that?
Squidward?
No, that's Zoidberg.
Zoidberg. Yeah. Zoidberg. Why did I think squid? Wow, I haven't watched Futurama in so long. I used to love that.
Which was actually the sound that Homer used to make when he span around on the floor, running around. He go.
Nice.
Some random memories, but yeah.
So
anyway.
our one and only Squid Cat with the $5 tip says, "I bought Sparc recently. I'm so sorry to hear that, but it's been too warm to exercise in VR, so I didn't. Hi, cats." Then he gives us some cat emojis with some hearts and a train. Choo choo hype. Why no VR emoji? I'll have to make a VR emoji, and then we are talking about adding a YouTube membership thing going on here, so maybe some exclusive emojis. That would be really good. Thank you for the support.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, this is the one place on YouTube where there's an actual VR emoji. It'd be great.
Pretty good stuff. All right, I think that gets us all caught up with all the tips, and that brings us to the main topic of the show. My apologies. I know that if Reggie's out there, we had some RC Airplane and Strange Game stuff to talk about. I'm going to save that for next week because we've actually got a lot of other topics we didn't get to this week. But we're already running super, super late, and so let's get to the main topic of the show, and that is. I love that I just brought it up, and oh man, sorry, I gotta make Miles smaller. You're really screwing with me. Oh, this is too funny. I don't know where you're.
What is it, Brian? Brian, what is it? What is it, Brian? What is the topic?
That's really good, man. That's really good. The topic is, dude, did you know that VR is still a gimmick? It's still a fad. It's considered a fad by some of the mainstream gamers out there in the world. Did you know that? Did you, outside of our little bubble, Miles, that not everybody likes VR? Are you aware of this?
No, I wasn't aware of this. Explain.
Yeah, well, this all begins from a Game Informer tweet. There's a poll that Game Informer put out. Now, Game Informer, if you guys don't know, huge gaming channel, right? They were a magazine, and over on Twitter they have like 2.4, I think, million followers. And so Game Informer is a pretty, if you're gonna do a vertical slice of the gaming populace. I don't know if I used any of those words properly. I don't think I did. But if you're a cross section, right? If you're gonna whole the gaming community as a whole, the Game Informer community might be the people that you want to go to, right? Just like IGN, just like everything else. They have a huge community filled with all sorts of people. So they put out a poll that said, "How excited are you for PlayStation VR2?"
By the way, can I just stop you for a minute, Brian? There's some random music coming in on the screen, they say. So it sounds like No Man's Sky.
Yeah, it's not No Man's Sky. I apologize. It's done. This was
But it
originally
does
supposed
make your speech seem more dramatic.
this this was supposed to be a different segment, so I'm sorry that music was supposed to be there, and now it's not. How excited are you for PSVR 2? And so, interestingly enough, right, with when you have a Twitter account that has 2.4 million followers, I find it shocking that they only got 2,900 votes on this, 2,951 votes, right? You would think it'd have tens of thousands of votes, not twos of thousands, right? Only 21.9% of them said very excited. 29.7% of them said somewhat intrigued, and I think that's the conversion people right there. Those are the people we have to convert. The not interested at all people, the 48.4%. That's more than half of the people. Not more than. That's less. That's almost half the people polled say they're not interested at all in PSVR 2.
But I think that's fine because, you know, if you were to do a cross section of how many people that, you know, they should have done a poll, how many of you have PSVR, have been interested in getting PSVR,
Yeah,
and haven't got it and aren't interested. You know, I think that you'd see a much bigger skew. And as for the not interested at all, and I know we're going to start going down the replies and have some fun with it, but when you think about like people that aren't paying active attention, what games do they actually know about? Because I would even argue that Horizon Call of the Mountain, not many people know about it unless they've been watching, you know, they follow PlayStation's YouTube channel, or they've been watching the state of plays. Like, until there is some real hard hitters of, you know, hybrid games, as we've mentioned before, I think that's when you could see that really sway the other way. And as we approach to it being announced and saying, this is what you're going to get to play on launch. Because at the moment, for us who are active PSVR 2 enthusiasts, we're talking very theoretical about stuff. Even Call of the Mountain, you know, we've seen some videos, it looks amazing, but we're still like, don't know when it's coming out. And, you know, that's just how I'd caveat a lot of these results, which is, I think this is a good starting point, you know.
I think it's a great starting point, actually, and it was something I wanted to transition to. I wanted to like start with shock and awe, and be appalled by the poll, and then move into what a lot of the chat is saying right now. And so I applaud everybody in the chat for having a very good perspective on this, and that's that Jeanette McCurdy says she was photographed in a bikini given alcohol as a child actor. This is really important stuff here when we're talking about PSVR 2 Twitter. Sorry. I'm a big iCarly fan, and I feel awful for Jeanette McCurdy. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by the other news on the fucking screen right now. Maybe we'll save that for another show. But really, the fact is if they had done this exact same poll, like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, how excited are you for PlayStation VR 1, right? I think the results would have been dramatically different, right? There would have been like 5% who was very excited, like maybe another 5% who was somewhat intrigued, and then 90% that's just like not fucking interested in VR. Sorry, right? And so I think this really does show how far we've come. That when you're pulling all these people, there are people, there are Nintendo Switch players, there are Xbox owners who are automatically, because it's a PlayStation thing, there is some fanboy stuff going on here, right? Where the second they see anything PlayStation, not interested, right? So there's that whole segment of the population that was going to say no to begin with, but the fact that, you know, almost 50% have some interest in it of these 2,900 people polled is actually a really, really good sign. When you consider that PlayStation VR 1, the attach rate to the PlayStation 4 was what, 3 to 4%? There's like 120 million PlayStation 4 sold, maybe 110, something like that.
Yeah.
And then only 5.5 million PlayStation VR 1 headsets sold. Yeah. That's a super low attach rate. That's 4% ish. I can't do the math in my head, but this shows the potential of being anywhere from 20% to 50% potentially over the course of the next few years. So we could be seeing a much bigger attach rate for PSVR 2 based on this poll. So I do think that this is promising. I'm with you.
Cool. Right, let's have some fun now, though.
All right. Let's interact with this thing. So let's see. So some of the responses are interesting. We see Bob here at Lazy Yoda, who says, "I've been waiting for years." What's funny is that you can tell who of these people have been watching Without Parole and who follows me, because I recognize his name and he follows us.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, we appreciate you guys being out there on Twitter and being vocal and active, especially when it comes to these things, because I think it's important for our community to be represented when it comes to PlayStation VR2, especially, right? When there's a lot of naysayers out there that when it comes to VR and about PSVR2 specifically, and so I think it's important to just kind of like balance the narrative, like make sure that we're out there saying positive things when people are saying negative things. It's just kind of, tit for tat sort of thing.
Everyone after this stream should go or do it now. Love Bomb on Twitter. Love Bomb Bob. He should have more than one heart. I'm going to do it now while we go to the next one. Let's find out where Bob is.
Can I click that right now? Oh, I just did it right now. Oh no, then it went down to 1. I clicked it and then it went down to 1 again. I don't know what happened. And then we got Unholy, who follows it up saying, "After VR gaming on the Quest 2, I couldn't care less about PSVR. The novelty wears off fast." Which begs the question: is we always say that Meta is really helping the VR industry as a whole, right? Getting more headsets on people's heads, making this affordable headset like easy to pick up, easy to play. But then if people are having the same kind of experience that Unholy here did, like, is that a bad thing? Like, suddenly you're giving people a bad first impression of VR? I don't know, man.
Yeah. By the way, I like that Bob responded to that one as well. Holding the corner.
Let's heart that too, yeah.
By the way, I hearted Bob's once. It's gone up to 3, and I've just posted a link to the tweets in the chat. Actually, let me put the link to Bob's tweet.
Perfect.
I love if it gets more hearts than we get likes for this episode.
Oh, man. That would be great. Yeah, everybody love Bomb Bob. Hopefully Lazy Yoda is watching. And if not, he'll be really surprised by all of his new followers and all the likes he's getting on his comments.
Yeah.
I wonder he responded to that one. I wonder if he responded to any more. We got Eddie from Outer Space. There's not a ton of comments here. I was actually surprised that there weren't just hundreds of comments. And so we can actually go through all these really quickly. Eddie from Outer Space said, "I would love to find a PS5 at retail price first," which I think is fair, but at the same time is becoming less of an issue by the day. Let's see here.
But that's true, actually. There could be people that say, "I'm not interested at all," because they still haven't got a PS5. Yeah. Or you've just got a PS5 and you don't have money. Like, you could say, "I'm not interested because it's just the thought of spending even more money on hardware." Like, that will be a percentage. Might be a small percentage, but could be a legitimate reason.
We got David Goltree here. This is one of the more negative statements. He says, "I'm honestly shocked VR is holding on. Feels really gimmicky, but people that like it really like it." Feels really gimmicky. I feel like we should respond to David, right? Because we need to know more about David's experience, right? What games has David played? What headsets has he used? We need to know. He feels really gimmicky. Why does it feel gimmicky, David? We need to know more. So let's see. Did he actually respond?
Now, does it feel gimmicky in terms of the appearance of it and he hasn't tried it? Or maybe he has had some bad VR experiences? Because, yeah, there are gimmicky VR experiences, definitely, without a doubt. And, how many attempts are you going to give games until you go, "You know what, this isn't for me"? And this is a conversation that's done in a lot of reviews and that of VR games, of, is the VR game, like, is it designed for VR, or is it just a game with VR gimmicks? And so that's fair. It's always difficult when you read these tweets, because the default is thinking he's there going, like, trying to be snarky, but you might generally, like, honestly, he says, "I'm honestly shocked."
He's had 3 days to respond, right? And he hasn't responded to anybody here. So I feel like we can't take him seriously. It's like, we need more information from you. Did any of these people? Here we go. We got name pending. "The tech is too limited, and not enough games are finding interesting ways to use that limited tech well. And PSVR 2 is only an incremental upgrade." See, now more questions, name pending. I have so many more questions for you. Like, at what angle do you consider an incremental upgrade? Like, what element of it? You think the controllers are only an incremental upgrade because they're wildly improved? Do you think the resolution? No, that's wildly improved. Do you think the games, like the ones that have been announced, have been fucking incredible, right? Like, so at what angle do you think is only incrementally upgraded? And I think that's, again, people who are just really not as familiar, right? And they or maybe they tried something and they tried a couple games a few years ago, and maybe they tried the wrong games. And I don't want to discount, Miles. I don't want to discount the possibility that VR just isn't for them. That they legitimately don't like it, and that they're never going to like it, and that because VR is just not going to be for everybody. Just like video games aren't for everybody. Some people pick up a controller and they're like, I don't know, there's too many fucking buttons. I don't care. I don't care what's happening on the screen. VR is not going to be for everybody in the same way that video games isn't for everybody. I don't want to discount that. But it's way more fun to make fun of name pending and just be like, dude, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I think you're out of your fucking mind, right?
Sure.
So here, let's go back and see some of these other comments here.
There's one that has a really good GIF response as well of just saying, my experience. It's by Don Landon.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. My experience with VR is fogged up lenses, constant moving headset, and annoyances with setup process. Constant moving headset?
Like, it's not staying. It's like...
Oh, like it's not staying on his head properly?
Yeah.
Or he's not tightening it?
Probably has a weird shaped head if he's a Muppet.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean,
and also, and an animal from the Muppets was always doing this. So you're doing that a lot of the time, then it's going to be moving around a lot. So, but I like Petrifying Pumpkin's response.
What do you say? A PSVR2 has a vent to remove fog, a single cable for easy setup and inside-out tracking, so no more return to play space. And then the fantastic meme. Yeah, that's good.
It's a good response.
Super cool video, bro. In the chat with the $2 tip says, this is making me sad. Just give me Cyberpunk PSVR2. Yeah, it's true. This is actually pretty sad because, you know what, like I really do feel like stepping outside of our bubble and seeing what the rest of the gamers in the world have to say. And I'm so happy that there's some love here in this thread, because we got people like Alex who are saying, I don't understand why some people see VR as a gimmick. It brings first-person shooters and competitive shooters on a completely different level, even flight simulators. So it's and so I think there are some educated gamers out here who know what they're talking about. We got Ultimate President here saying, I love PSVR1, therefore I'm really excited for VR2. Excellent. I think we should heart that as well, right? Let's make sure he gets some love. Is anybody else? Did we get? Oh man, you guys are out there hearting Bob's comment. That's awesome. He's up to 7 likes.
7, awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, wow, we ran out of comments pretty quickly. Yeah, there's really for a poll that was put out to millions of people that had over 2,000 people voting on it. This has less responses on it than most of my polls, right? And so I think the real thing we have to take from this are the results, and to see that 50% of people are somewhat interested to very excited for PSVR 2.
I do like the comment, the reply, not interested because wired.
Yeah, I saw that too. Where is this?
Tiger Karama.
Yeah, I probably scrolled right by it a few times. I'm seeing it on a wicked small screen, dude. I'm like, anyway. So a lot of different reasons why people aren't interested in VR. And Miles, what do you really think it's going to take? Do you think that Sony has what it takes? Like, there's a few opinions here that seem a little bit outdated. A few opinions that seem like maybe they just had a bad experience. What do you think Sony has what it takes? Between now and the launch of PSVR 2 to change some of those people's minds, and if so, what do you think it's going to take? How can they possibly do that?
I think it's going to take the hybrid games, so actually taking games they already know, and because if they saw, for example, Call of Duty or Destiny 2 is getting VR, it's now not just games made for VR, it's wow, that's a title that I know and love, and they're actively working to have a VR version. Capcom's doing it with Resident Evil 8. Although the thing I would say about Capcom, and this might be a bit of a generalization, I kind of feel like people that are into Resident Evil games are already going to be kind of into VR. I just feel like it's the same sort of game as. I could be wrong with that, because of the fact that Resident Evil 7 had a VR port and was so popular. You think of like Alien Isolation having a VR mod. I think there's something to be said about like horror fans and VR. People that like horror games do it because they like the feeling it gives them, the adrenaline, and they want to know what's the scariest game I can play. Oh, there's a VR version. Well, I need to try that. It's a bit of a side point, but I do think there's going to be a difference between what Capcom offers and then what Bungie does with Destiny 2, or Rockstar Games does with GTA Online, or what Epic Games does with Fortnite and VR. All those kind of things. So I definitely think that's gonna be a big part of it. I think most of the not interested is going to change after PSVR 2 is launched. Once, we talk about the best marketing is going to be the broadcast and that. And, some people will have been put off from their first experiences, and that's fine. They'll come to it years later, because that's what happens when technology first develops. It's a rough ride. But the last comment before hearing your answer that I saw replied to one of these was on the tweets was from Manch. Good that more people are not interested, so it'll be more easy to get them for us who want one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be hard for us to get one at launch.
No.
I think it's going to be pretty easy because, again, Sony seems to, they're taking their time with this, right? We know that they're going into production. We know that they're going to be stocking up. It's not like they're going to be hard to find. I think they're going to have a few million ready for launch. I think we're going to surpass the number of PSVR 2s sold. We're going to surpass the PSVR 1 sales figures, the lifetime sales figures of PSVR 1 with PSVR 2s within the first year or two. Like, I think we're going to very quickly hit that 5 million point. Potentially in year one. And so, but still, again, Sony's playing this right. There are no supply chain issues when it comes to PSVR 2. Remember that the only thing that supply chain is standing in the way of is getting PS5s out there, and we need PS5s in order to sell PSVR 2s, right? So that's all really good. And I think PSVR 2 is getting a lot of great press right now.
The hardware is also going to be pushing VR forward in ways that PSVR, the original, did not. Like, look, the PSVR headset was great in many ways, but you were still playing with Move controllers. You still had other limitations against other headsets that came out afterwards. But Sony had a plethora of great games, That's what Sony is good at. They have some good first-party titles. They had the Astrobot, and they have a great gaming community. With the new headset and all the tech that's going to come with that, we know that Sony are going to nail it with the games that they're going to have for this. The tech as well is just going to be, having not Move controllers. I mean, it sounds like a silly thing to make a comment on, but that's a fundamental thing that would have put a lot of people off. And so, I think, again, that's why that once it comes out and people really see the power of it, more people will jump on board.
I like Professor Lilith's take. So I think the real takeaway is that hardly anyone is interested in Game Informer's polls.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think that's great. Now, and there's actually a lot of great comments in the chat right now. Jazzy J, the Tarot Mage Game Cat, says, "Oh yeah, all these 16-year-olds love their Fortnite too much to care about VR," and I think that's an excellent point. There are too many people playing games that don't support VR.
That's true.
So like, why would they bother stepping out of like their comfort zone? And I think if, again, we know full well that Sony and Epic have been in talks for years regarding a potential PSVR 2 game. And so why not have Fortnite there at launch? Why not have, we know that Sony and Rockstar have a great relationship. Why not have Grand Theft Auto 5 there at launch with Grand Theft Online? be able to play GTA Online with your friends in VR. Sounds like the ultimate metaverse, right? It just sounds like so much fun. And so, and these are, in my book, the only way you're going to push VR into the mainstream, the only way you're going to sell VR to people who otherwise weren't very interested. That said, like, Grand Theft Auto didn't really save the PSP here in America, right? So, like, there are prime examples of, like, even the biggest franchise not saving the things we care about. But I think VR's on an upward trajectory. And so any of these games, any of these titles are only going to ramp up that trajectory faster. So I think things are going well. And I'm with you, man. I'm with you. PSVR 1 had a lot of hurdles, including the Move controllers, including the camera, including light tracking. There were so many things that could have gone wrong.
Sorry, yeah, light tracking. Yeah.
I think a lot of things went wrong for a lot of people, and it was just too hard for some people to enjoy their time in it.
And yet, look how well it did, despite all that.
Despite all that,
because if it was a brand new company with a brand new headset with those flaws, it wouldn't have got faster. It would have got laughed out the room. So Sony's actually, in some ways, set itself up for the. Not only is it going to have a headset that is ahead of all the other competition, but the contrast from it's going to be bigger than going from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. Do you know what I mean in terms of the difference that you're going to feel with it?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about what you see with your eyes, it's about what you hear with your ears, and it's about what you feel with your hands with those controllers. And that combination in virtual reality and a sense of presence and immersion is just going to be one of the examples of things. I can't explain it. You just have to play it.
Yeah. Super cool video, bro. The $2 tip says, just make a proprietary Vortex-esque mode for PSVR 2. This tip was just long enough ago that I have no idea what's in response to, and I feel terrible about that. What game were we talking about to recommend the Vortex-esque mode? Fortnite, maybe. But thank you very much. Yeah, I really hope that we don't get any of that. I hope that developing for PSVR 2 and converting flat screen games to VR is easy enough where we don't need to rely on any kind of like Vortex type thing for PSVR 2. I just really hope that we get all the shit that we've been wanting all these years. Dude, I am fucking burning up. So let's move on, dude. Let's move on and close this show out with a little game of 20 questions. Are you ready, Miles?
I literally went to get my notepad because I was sensing it coming over the horizon.
Hell yeah.
Because it's your time to come up with a game, yeah?
It is, and I have one picked out. I just want to bring it up on the screen, so in case you ask any silly questions.
What the game? Yeah. What is it? Let's have a look.
Oh, it's Fatal Frame.
Okay.
Yeah, but which one is the question? Which Fatal Frame?
All right. Well, we'll find out when I ask these questions.
All right. Let me bring the game up here on the screen so I can have all the information at my ready. Hopefully, we haven't done this one recently. But my brain is fried, so who the fuck knows? Okay, I found it. Miles, are you ready?
Yeah.
Good. Everybody out there, please help Miles along. Make sure you recommend good questions for him to ask. And as we answer these 20 yes or no questions, give him good game suggestions based on the answers. He's going to need some help on this one. On your mark, get set, go.
Does it have multiplayer?
No.
No multiplayer. Do you hold guns in this game?
No.
No guns.
I don't know why I thought that was funny. No.
Guns are... No, they're not funny.
They're hilarious.
Is it a sports game?
Yes.
Is it futuristic?
No.
Okay. It's not rigs. Not futuristic. Is it a real sport that we play in the modern? Like, is it actually a sport that we play in real life? Yeah,
it is. Yep, that's 5.
It was real sport. I know I've said it. Is it multiplayer? But is it a team sport?
No.
Okay. Does it use the moves?
It does.
Great, uses moves. And do you play on grass?
You do play on grass.
Cool. And would you play with like a stick, but like that's fashioned for the sport, like a club?
You would, yeah.
Yeah, you would use a club. Interesting. And would you say that this is a game that is for everybody? Everybody could play it?
Oh, I see the direction you're heading with this. Yes.
All right. Brian, is this everybody's golf?
This is everybody's golf VR. Hell yeah, the only downfall this game had, I think, was that we didn't get any multiplayer in those fucking awful, awful caddies that you couldn't turn off. Caddy Steve, says Gabriel 004. Caddy Steve. Oh yeah. Did you ever get to spend any time with this one, Miles?
I've not, and I've always considered still buying it still. But the one thing that put me off getting this game was that there was no multiplayer.
Yeah.
Which I know is because I've seen your review and talking about it, and it looks excellent, and I'm sure I'd have a great time. Just yeah, it's a game I'd want to play multiplayer. And then every time I hear about you playing this other golf game,
Walkabout Mini Golf. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, let's bring that over.
Let's bring that over. Come on, Mighty Coconut, do your fucking thing and bring it on over. It better. I mean, dude, if Walkabout Mini Golf isn't there for the PSVR2 launch, I'm gonna fucking riot. That's all I got to say about that. All right, man. I'd love to dick around and sit here for another hour, but like I said, things are weird over here right now. Things are real hot, real fast. Don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm having hot flashes. Maybe I got the menopause, as they say. But let's get out of here. Guys, hopefully we'll see you over on Discord. Click the link in the description below. And of course, make sure you subscribe to Miles over on youtube.com/Miles. That link is also in the description below. Thank you to everybody that helps this channel run. They run it so well, Miles. They run it with or without me. What do you got? You got something? What?
I was just going to tell everyone that I'm not going to be about next Friday because I am on tour with my band for the weekend. So I'm going to miss you next Friday. But
we'll get somebody. We'll get somebody who's maybe relatively suitable to be a replacement for you for one day. I think we'll be able to handle it.
I look forward to it. I actually still might be able to tune in while I'm on the road. So yeah, I will say hi in the chat and that. But like genuinely, I'm always gutted when I've got to miss these. But you know, it sometimes happens. And yeah. So I will be seeing you guys on here in 2 weeks' time.
Hell yeah. Listen, thank you to all the moderators who keep the chat civil here and over on Discord. You guys make my life so much better. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who puts all the timestamps into the show after it happens. And please be patient. I find it very disrespectful to the Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry to 5 minutes after the show is over to leave a comment that says timestamps ? It's like the dude volunteers his time, and trust me, without him, there are not going to be any timestamps because I'm not going to fucking do it. That's for sure. So please be respectful and thank Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry for all of his work. Also thank Jay Meow for getting this up on. Dude got he got withoutparole.com up and running, and he makes sure that all of these episodes are up on podcast services of your choice, each and every single episode. A lot of people to thank. Thank you to everybody who hung out today, that helped Miles 20 questions, that hung out in the chat, that donated, keeping the channel alive, that support us on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, and of course all the people who sat back and watched the show, didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Let's get out of here, Miles. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Dude, did you see Zombie in the chat? Zombie's fucking watching this thing while sitting in a hot tub. What is
Wow.
going on in Zombies World where it's just not hot enough?
We need to start a competition of like photos of game cats watching PSVR about Pro in the weirdest place. Actually, has anyone ever watched the show in PSVR?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could do that, right? How could you?
Yeah,
You could put
on
the
the YouTube
headset
app.
on, and then
You do
Yep.
do the YouTube app? Yeah.
Very true. Once upon a time, back when, like way back when like the Midnight Gamescast was the thing, when like years ago, one of our Patreon goals, which we still wouldn't have gotten to this day. Patreon is kind of stalled out years ago. One of the Patreon goals was we were going to film in VR. I was going to buy a 180 VR camera and film the show in VR, like to actually be able to air it in a VR mode so that you could put on your headset and watch it in VR and actually have some sort of 3D image, 3D video going on. And we never even came close to that goal. But I think that would be really fucking cool next gen. As the channel grows, we could bring that back.
That'd be really, really, really cool.
Listen,
Brian.
Jade Meows doing the exact saying the exact same thing in chat. He was reading my mind.
There we go. Great minds think alike. Yeah. But listen, Brian, before we go, I just wanted to say that I appreciate that the last few weeks with my clips of the week that it's got quite disturbing really because of there's a lot of weirdos out there. I mean, I'm a weirdo, but like, abuse. I had a lot of abuse. I've had kids screaming while crawling on the floor, so I had to put a bucket on their heads. So this week I wanted to do something a bit different, and I just wanted the Game Cats to know that I take this very, very seriously. And so when I get the chance, I like to shoot them in the head as the British sniper that I am. So I got a clip of taking some retribution out of all those little kids that that ruin our days in the lobby. So yeah,
let's watch you beat up on some kids. This is always fun.
Red team scores. Game over.
What is wrong with you?
What do you mean? What's wrong with me?
Oh, you're just an awful, awful person. I think you only go into Rec Room just to beat up.
What,
on
we won?
kids.
No, we just won the game. We won the game. I was doing my duty as a sniper, and I wish I could say I'm like that all the time. I've tried to replicate that since. I can't shoot the sniper for.
You killed it. You killed it. That's the dream. When you find a good little eagle's nest to camp out in and just take them down one by one. That's the dream. You killed it.
And that's what you do on a computer game is when you get a clip of you absolutely smashing it, you save it and go, look, this is me on Rec Room. This is how I am when I play it all the time. Right. And then
super misleading.
But also the sound effects of getting shots on that game, the ding is just so satisfying.
It is satisfying. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says you can watch YouTube on PSVR, but unfortunately not with PS5. Oh, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we need PS5 to add a whole bunch of features, right? We need navigation control support because
they have like VR. They have VR videos on YouTube. So yeah, that will have to be a PSVR2 feature.
Yeah, and Blu-rays, man. 3D Blu-rays. How am I ever going to watch Finding Nemo in 3D ever again?
Oh, dude, that must be amazing on VR.
It's shockingly not as like if you've ever watched. I mean, if you ever go to a theater and see things in 3D, when you watch 3D stuff, especially the Pixar stuff, I feel like it's not the 3D effect isn't as dramatic. It's like more realistic, and so it's not wow. It's just kind of like pleasant to watch.
Yes, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. All right, dude. I mean. In about 2 more minutes, I'm going to turn the cameras back on, and we're just going to keep running the show. So yeah. I guess we should just call it.
We'll end it there.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone. Much love.
Happy Friday. Happy weekend. We love you all.